Marcela, you don't understand. I tried courses, I tried reading books, I follow so many social media accounts. I've done emotional regulation courses, and it seems that I'm I'm so I'm not there yet. I'm still reacting to my kids when they don't listen to me. I try and hold, but then it comes to a point that I explode. If that is you, on this podcast episode, we are going to go a lot deeper from the things that you've experienced online and possibly the courses you've gone through. And we are going to dive and uproot the real cause of why we keep losing it with our kids, even if we already know better, even if we have the tools and information and the inspiration. I mean, even if we read books, that's exactly that's the exact if that is you, that's the exact parent, that's the exact thing i I help parents with in hic parenting. All the parents who come to our coaching are very educated parents, and they've done other things, but they feel that there's still something missing, and it's related to what's taking them to react. And once they know what it is, they're able to course correct it, become secure parents, and start raising their children with peace. And that's what you're going to learn today on this episode of the Parenting with Understanding podcast. Hello, this is your host, Marcela Collier. I am a certified parenting coach and founder of HIC Parenting Education Agency. My team of coaches and I have served 14,151 parents plus break away from reactivity and parent with peace. And this is a common thing that comes to us on our assessment sessions. As our assessment sessions are the very first session, evaluation session that a parent goes through before they enter our parenting coaching program. And in that session, they gain awareness of their particular root or of dynamic that is keeping them in the reactive cycle. So let's talk about that. What's keeping us losing with our kids? I was scrolling on TikTok, not because I like TikTok obviously, necessarily. I use TikTok to connect with my audience and then to see trends and just to see what's going on in the parenting field and industry, and to connect with my audience, not necessarily to consume it. But then I was scrolling there when I saw a father. He had maybe a 3 year old son. Yes, younger than five for sure. And then this father brought a big toy car. It was like a birthday present or a Christmas present. It was a present for his son. He blindfolded his 3 year old, or less than five, younger than five, old. He blindfolded the child. And when the child opened his eyes to look at the toy car, he did not like the car. He rejected the car. He did not like the car. The father, he became so enraged that he took that car, like he picked it up, and it was a big thing. It was heavy, but he was so angry that he picked it up. He went upstairs with that car, and then he threw it over the balcony and destroyed the toy car. The wife tried to stop him, but he was not even hearing anyone. He was not listening to the wife. The child tried to stop him, but he was not listening to the child. He just wanted to live his rage. What happened here? Why do we keep losing it with our kids? And this might be an extreme case if you think like, oh, I would never do something like that. But if you are still reacting against the way that you want to show up for your kids, this episode is relevant for you. That used to be me. I wasn't having those that such a big reaction, but I was snappy, and many times I ended up yelling at my oldest son. in 2012, 12 plus years ago. How long was that? That's when I was struggling. So what happens here? What keeps us in this stuck cycle? What keeps us in reactivity? Was it the child's behavior? Was it the child's rejection of the toy? What helped these what now what helped? What took this father to do such a thing? Was it was it the anger? What took this father to do such a thing? It was none of those. It wasn't the anger. It wasn't the child. It was something that once our coaching clients discovered it, that's when they start seeing changes. And it is that many of us grew up with childhood wounds. And most of us are parenting our children through them. And through them, we create belief systems. And through them, we create judgments about ourselves and about our kids. And from that, we react. So let's just say, I'm not saying it's the case of this particular father, but let's just start building a narrative here of what could have happened. Let's just say this father was raised in an environment where he was not seen, he was not valued. He almost grew up with this pattern of having to do things for people to gain acceptance, having to people please to gain value. And then now he sees his child rejecting something he did for him. And then this need to be valued and accepted that was unmet growing up and still unmet created a deep wound of rejection. And rejection feels really deeply for this child, for this father, to the point that he loses it. To the point that he loses it so much that he would not even listen to his wife. She tried to drag him from his shirt to not do that. But he was blinded by his reactivity, not because of the child's behaviors, but the interpretation that he had of that behavior based on his childhood wound of rejection. In coaching, a big thing, big portion of coaching in HIC parenting is unraveling all those patterns and wounds and clouded lenses that parents have and that impair them to parent their children from a secure way, as secure parents, and that impair them from seeing their kids. We develop, once they are aware of those patterns, eh, once this father is aware of what really happened, I'm sure next time something similar happens, he's not going to react the same way. So the same thing with the clients that come to HIC parenting. Once they're aware of it, they start making changes. So I'm so curious. Do you have the childhood wound of rejection? How does it feel to you when your child rejects you? And I'm not saying like you don't have the wound. I'm not saying that you have to feel happy when your child rejects you. Of course, it might sting, it might hurt. But I'm talking about like, do you have that an unbearable feeling and almost an uncontrollable reaction when your child rejects you? Maybe when they reject your connection when they're crying, maybe when they reject your gifts, maybe when they reject something that you make, maybe the food that you make, maybe when they reject, I don't know, maybe when they reject anything. related that comes from you, does that feel unbearable to you? If that is you, I have to say that your reactivity is not your fault. You're not reacting to your child because you're a bad parent. It's because you are parenting them from this clouded lens. I want to help you. I have a free class that you can access right now on hicparenting.com. That's my website. And in there, I'm going to walk you through the system, the parenting with understanding system of needs for you to gain a deeper understanding of yourself and of your children's needs so you can parent them with a lot more peace. You are going to get a blueprint, the same blueprint we give our clients to stop reactivity and parent children as secure parents. You can find it at hicparenting.com. If you're watching the podcast episode from YouTube, I'm going to leave a card up here. It's in the description below of this video, and you can start changing your parenting. For example, Nick, he has 3 kids, and he was a very inconsistent parent, not because he wanted to be inconsistent. Sometimes he was warm, sometimes he was reactive, and he didn't want to be reactive. So he came to HIC parenting and he worked on unraveling what was going on with his own narratives and patterns. He learned the skill of emotional regulation to live his emotions in safety. He learned the skill of mindset to understand his children's needs and his own needs. And he learned the skill of positive discipline to guide his children without yelling and spanking. And this is his story. Let me play it for you real quick. If you were to put yourself in your shoes from the time before you enter HIC parenting and now, how was it before for you as a father and how is it now?
The biggest change that I've noticed, one of the intentions that I set when he was leading us through that process at the beginning of this was to be a consistent and reliable source of warmth and support and love. I felt like I was a lot of times would shift back and forth from being loving to then I would get anxious and upset and I would snap at the kids. And I feel like over the course of this program, I've become much better at being consistent for them. And then to just be there for him and felt like I was present, I was calm.
And that happens once he gained a full understanding of the thing that was taking him to react, and he gained skills to be a secure father. And this could be you. He ended 6 years of power struggles with his children in just a few weeks in HIC parenting. So again, the first step is to access this class at hicparenting.com. Let's start going back to the story. What was really happening here? How come the 3-year-old kicked the toy car? Was he an ungrateful child? If you believe he was an ungrateful child, let me know in the comments. But based on my training and experience as a parenting coach, this 3-year-old was not ungrateful. Children under 7 years old, they are in their egocentric stage of development. What does that mean? It means that they only think about what they want, about them, and to satisfy their wants and needs. They don't think about the effort that other people do so their needs are met or so they get what they want. So this child was not thinking about, this is a car, a toy car, a very expensive toy that my dad had to work a lot for, and I need to say thank you and be grateful. They don't have that understanding of gratefulness yet. They could learn to say thank you, but they don't comprehend gratitude. So it makes sense to me that if he didn't like the toy car, he kicked it. That's what he did. He kicked it. It makes sense to me. And this father will be a lot more secure in his responses if he had this coherent narrative and understanding of what's really going on with his child. This is part of mindset skills that we work with our clients as well. So, mindset is the ability to understand where our children are coming from. And this is possible what was happening to this kid. I did not like it. I don't like it. I don't want it. I reject it. Independently of how we respond, how the effort that his father made on getting him the toy car. So that's number one. And number two, let's just imagine that this father wouldn't have the clouded lens of this is a direct rejection of me as a person. But if he would have had a clear understanding of my son didn't like the toy, and because he doesn't have and understand gratitude yet, then he rejected it. But kicking the toy car is not an okay behavior. It's something that I need to correct. So how can I correct it so my son learns instead of my son feeling hurt because I'm breaking his things? So a secure parent would have come and said, I understand you didn't like the toy. You just say I don't like it without having to kick it. Okay, so let's practice. I don't like this new toy. I don't like this new toy. And that's it. That's all you have to do to communicate you don't like the toy. But kicking is not okay. We don't kick things. Or if you want to go a little farther, you can teach him to say thank you to gifts, even if he doesn't like it. Even if you don't like the toy, even if you don't like the gift, the polite and respectful thing to do is to still say thank you. So let's practice that. Thank you, Daddy. Okay, good. So when grandma gives you a toy and you don't like it, you don't have to like it. You don't have to play with it, but you can say thank you. These can only happen, again, and I repeat, if he is a secure parent. Because as long as he is acting from his unhealed wound of rejection, he's only going to see a very ungrateful and rude child who is rejecting him as a person instead of a struggling child who has no social emotional skills. So, do you see the difference of the mindset of a secure parent versus the mindset of an insecure parent? I'm not saying this is a bad father. I still believe he's a good father. He thought about his son. That toy might have been the way he manifests love to his son. If gifts are his if gifts are his love language, it makes sense to me why it hurt him so much as well. But the response of picking up the toy car, going upstairs, not listening to the wife, throwing it out the balcony and breaking it, is not coming from his child's behaviors. It's coming from his unprocessed, unhealed wounds, possible unhealed wounds of rejection from childhood. If this podcast episode and if the Parenting with Understanding podcast in general has given you understanding of yourself as a parent, would you share it with a friend? Just stop what you're doing, send it right now to a friend and let them know, hey, this taught me a lot about myself, and I'm sure it will help you too. And if you've been listening for a while, would you leave us a positive review? Hopefully, 5-star positive review. Open the description. Let us know how this podcast episode helped you understand yourself and show up as a secure parent to your kids. That will help us a lot get to more parents so they can learn that they can raise their children with peace and understanding away from projection and reactivity. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you next time.